Oops.
Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. You've heard of Kirby vacuums, but unlike those, this one doesn't suck. Get ready, Giants. This is going to be a great show today. We're going to wake up the Giants. Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris, along here with Nicholas T. Smith, the author of The Giants and the Smalls. I got to reach over here. I wrote this little book. It's called The Journey of Riches, Living the Paradigm of Kindness. And
little ditty about Jack and Diane.
Yeah, I wrote this little ditty. Whoa, there we go. Hello. I got real close to the computer there. And then Nick wrote The Giants and the Smalls. And right behind his beautiful head is the tortoise and the hair right there. Yeah, there it is. And a lot of other great books. You could get them on Amazon, so go check those out. We started a Tribe of Giants on Facebook, have a great community there. We're on YouTube, Wake Up with Giants TV. Go hit the alert button, subscribe, so you know when we go live every single dang time. And get involved in some of the fun and find some amazing human beings to connect with. I connected with our guest today because of networking and mutual friends and things like that. Come find your tribe. Come find people that are doing their work, growing, changing the world, being giants. And you'll find some really amazing people that otherwise you might not have run into. So
yeah,
we have what we call our SG groups. We've got one running right now, and we've got one coming up. Nick, will you tell people about our SG groups and what that means?
Yeah, SG is for Sum Gigante. I am giant. So we're going to help you become the giant that you already are. So there's really no becoming. It's more unbecoming anything that makes you feel small. So over 6 weeks, we take you through the root journeys where we dive into your non-conscious stories, belief systems, values, teach you how to navigate the difficult emotions, be with your thoughts and gently wake up to your way of being. And then also teach you tools to navigate that so you can elevate yourself enough to step into your growth journeys, where we teach you how to embrace uncertainty, use the abundance that surrounds you to create anything you can imagine, to vision, surrender, nurture, and do all the things that we've been taught over years to develop and create our worlds the way we're capable of. And then finally, to make the impact or the legacy that you have that nobody else can make. So our goal is to help you align with that so you can fully step into it and make the impact in the world that you're capable of making. And so if you join us for 6 weeks, you'll come out of that a different person. You'll be seeing your world differently. You'll be elevating quicker. You'll be navigating the lows of your life a lot more. I would say more equipped to handle it, so that you can move through it faster and faster. And so that's it. I mean, it's a beautiful program. We developed it because we were, Ryan and I have been through our own journeys, and I'll admit, man, I'm a little messy. So I needed something to help me navigate it. So that's why we created it.
We created our own self-help program.
Yeah.
For ourselves, literally.
Well, a lot of it comes too from these interviews. You know, we've had 300 plus interviews like this. And so you start gleaning processes from people. Yeah. And so it's a collection of those processes and some of the best practices you can find in the industry, all backed by research and philosophy. So it's a spiritual as well as a scientific journey into self-development.
How do people get involved with that?
Just easy. Just reach out, DM us. Yep. Pretty dang easy.
We hit the easy button.
Yeah. I mean, I could say go to .com and do all that. Yeah. But no, just reach out. Just send us a message and say, I want to know more.
Turns out we're accessible. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. That's amazing. And before you move on to introducing our guest, I need to tell a little story. So way back in the day, And I don't even remember the exact time. And this is when somewhere along the lines, Nick, when you and I started, or just before we started Wake Up with Giants TV, I think we were talking about this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how am I going to go live and do a live show? I'm messy, awkward, weird. Like I stutter sometimes. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. Nobody wants to listen to me. These were things also that were going on inside my head. And I might get emotional because this is a big deal in my life. I was watching Facebook. I was scrolling Facebook, and there's a guy on there with this big giant beard, bright white smile, baseball cap, plaid shirt, black undershirt or something like that. I'm just describing Taylor Kirby just sitting right there. Man, that's weird. American flag hat, and he's selling women's jewelry. And I'm like, what the? Like I stopped on it and I just watched the live for a little bit, and he's dangling all types of stuff, and he's showing off earrings, and he's like, look at these hoopy hoops.
Hoopty hoops.
Hoopy hoops. Yep, the hoopy hoops. Drinking energy drinks, and I'm like, it's just not computing in my head. I'm like, what the heck? This guy, and no offense to Taylor. I'm like, this guy is blowing my paradigm of what is possible. I mean, you got a guy that looked dang near homeless, like freaking ZZ Top selling women's jewelry. And I'm like, what?
Wow, dude.
What? Yeah. And I watched the live, and he was hysterical. He was funny. He was engaging. He would talk to people just about life. He was seriously concerned when somebody said something on the chat that they needed something in their life. And it wasn't just about selling jewelry, it was connecting with people. And it also, what it did for me is it has elevated my belief. I was like, man, if this dude can do this and sell women's jewelry, I can get on live and I can talk. And I don't know that I'm anywhere as funny, anywhere as engaging, or anywhere as ZZ Top looking and beautiful human being as Taylor Kirby. But because of this man, my life shifted for the better, and he elevated my belief. And I tell this story a lot to people when they say I can't do that, because you can. And finding your belief is what this is all about. Stepping forward and finding your inner giant. You've always been a giant. And oh my gosh, sorry, I didn't mean to get that emotional. It shifted my entire way of being. And you're a legend, at least in my household, Mr. Taylor. Me and my wife I've probably watched, I don't know, I watched hundreds of your lives. And every time I'm like, oh, Taylor's on. And my wife knows exactly who you are. We listen, we laugh, we smile.
And then the next day he shows up in earrings.
Right? Yeah.
It's only on the weekends.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. See, we all watch Taylor. See?
Yeah.
He's that kind of a human being, and I'm telling you what, in person, he is the exact same, maybe even better. And so I'm excited for today's show, because I want people at home to be able to hear and feel who Taylor is, follow him, connect with him, and be that kind of a person for themselves. Taylor Kirby has absolutely changed my life. So Nick, with that, will you introduce our guest today?
I would love to. I mean, it's hard to beat that, because that's a description of the character of the man. These are some of the accolades. So, but the big thing is Taylor Kirby's a father of 3. So that's his biggest win right there in life. He's achieved extraordinary success in the world of direct sales. He's a multiple 6-figure earner with Paparazzi Accessories, and leads a global team of over 500,000 members. So Taylor's leadership style is informed by his diverse experiences. He's lived and traveled all over the world, co-authored 2 business development books, and balances his professional life with the love for adventure. When he's not guiding his team to success, you might find him snowboarding or spending time with his 4 horses in the mountains. He's passionate for life. He has a practical approach to leadership that makes him an inspiring figure for anyone looking to scale their business, enjoy the future. We're just really lucky to have you here with us, Taylor, because we're going to dive into the behind the scenes. More than the technicalities is who is the person, right?
Right.
And so our goal here is to really look at the evolution of Taylor Kirby, in a way, because there was probably a time you were not who you are today.
Okay.
And there was probably a time where you thought differently of yourself. You had different belief systems, views, perceptions. Can you take us back there? Can we go visit that?
Yeah, that's kind of a scary place, but yeah, we can visit that.
Yeah. Okay. And that's all we're doing. We're not moving in. This is like the Christmas Carol,
right?
Kirby edition.
I feel like there's like 3. There's like 3 of those, right? Like literally, like, Christmas past, present, and future or whatever. But I think as far if you want to talk like business and leadership and all of that stuff, I think you have my life like after college, that young, trying to figure out life and doing all that stuff. I had some really crazy, amazing opportunities in I call it the real world, of like real business, of real stuff, right? And I think it's one of those where, I was in my 20s, I traveled a lot. I had jobs that took me all over the place, but it was one of those where I had the ability to be mentored by some of the most mind-blowing people in real life business and in like direct sales network marketing, right? And I think I just took it all in. I had these people who were had made 6, 7, 8, 9 figures, 10 figures, and I had the ability to ask them any sort of question, right? And so I got to spend about a decade being mentored by these people. And then I got married. So I didn't get married till I was 30, like literally 30. My 30th year of life, I got married. And then I had that one where I went from being single and kind of this crazy person who, jumped out of helicopters and went skydiving and bungee jumping in New Zealand, and like surfing in Bali and Thailand. And I was in Thailand for the tsunami. Like I had all that world. And then all of a sudden I got married and I became the dad and whatever. And then it was kind of like I had these goals and dreams and visions as far as what I wanted out of life. And it was like, I feel like that, I feel like that was actually like the fakest era of my life, because it was like I was trying to be this grown-up, serious adult, like take me serious now. I'm married and I have business ideas and I have, things that I'm going to do. And I created several different businesses, and some were great and some were horrible. And some we sold off and made money, and others we literally walked away from and like shook off the dust. And then you have where I got divorced, right? So I got divorced on my 40th birthday. And then from there, it was one of those where I felt like I lost everything. I lost who I was. I lost whatever. And I had, you guys, you've been through a divorce, and you understand that like, that's where you're made. You have to figure out, who am I really? What do I really want? What are people saying about me? What do I believe about myself? And I think from there, that's where that was like my rebirth of okay, so I've done the fake it till you make it thing. I've done some success. I've done the networking. We've done all those networking events where, you're trying to like rub shoulders and make contacts and kind of go and maybe those events that you go to that you're like, this is not my group, but you're there to make a contact, right? Like I just had one of those with you the other day, and it's one of those where I'm like, but now I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm so good. Like, I'm not here to impress anybody. And it's like, cool, I made an appearance. See you. This is not my jam. And so I think now where I sit, it's one of those where I think you have to get to a point where you're comfortable with who you are, right? And what your goals are and what really motivates you and what really, so I have a friend who also wrote a book. His name's Woody Woodward, but he has this, it's always on my phone, but it's a drive system. And it's like,
Woody Woodward is amazing. So look up Woody Woodward at home.
yeah. But so his drive system is basically, you have these 5, not really personality types, but 5 groups of what motivates you and what really drives you, right? And I think that system is what changed my life, because I now look at it and I always say to people, like, I try to listen to people now, as opposed to what can I get out of this person, or how can this person help me? It's literally like, what motivates this person? Like, what's your drive? Like, because I think once you figure that out in life, you then can either help people thrive, but you can also figure out what motivates me. And so now where I sit, I look at things like, that doesn't do it for me. So I'm not going to waste my time and my energy and my emotion on that, whether it's a person, whether it's an activity, whether it's a business opportunity, whether it's a thing, that doesn't do it for me. And I don't need that energy. I don't need that vibe. That doesn't work for me. And so I've learned to let a lot go. And I think I've become a totally different person, right? Like, I mean, I don't know where you want to go with this, but it's one of those where now, if you were to see me now, and even when I started going live and selling jewelry, I used to have a sheet over this TV, and I would stand here and I would be like dressed in like a button-up shirt. My hair was all done. I was super formal. And then I got to a point where I was like, that was somebody else that someone told me to watch. That's not me. I was clean shaven. I didn't have a beard. My hair was completely dyed, and I was this fake person. And then I got to a point where, I really believe the mantra, your vibe attracts your tribe. And I think if your vibe is so fake because you're trying to be someone else, if you're trying to look like this, you will attract a vibe that doesn't allow you to thrive. That is not you. And I hate the word authentic. I hate it because I think it's a scapegoat for so many people to just be lazy and not driven and not motivated, because it's like, I'm just being authentic. And it's like, no, you're being lazy. And but my thing is, I had to come into the realization that I'm me, right? Like, I am who I am. I would rather be up in the mountains. I would rather be on my horse. I would rather like be hanging out with my kids than be like socializing with people that I have no interest in.
Let's hang here for a minute, because this is I think this will be a breakthrough for, well, not only me, but anybody watching that's in this space, because it's so easy to lose yourself in relation to other people or other people's ideals, right? So it's that suffering comes in when who you are isn't good enough for who you think you should be, or who you think others think you should be. And the easiest place to lose that is, it's who you associate with, right? Because you start trying to become like them or please them or make sure they're happy. And then you lose yourself in the pursuit of making other people happy. Well, I think that's where, when you really align with who you are, you can do that anywhere. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. And so coming back to the idea of who are you, not as a like this authenticity thing that you're talking about here. Oh, I'm just being authentically me. Well, we are all always being authentically ourselves. It's just what comes out. But when you talk about really aligning with who you are at your core, there's almost a coming back to, like you say, to your original preferences, or the preferences before the world got a hold of you. I mean, would you say that's accurate? Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
Like you're going back to nature. You're going back to doing the things you enjoy.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. And I think even with that, I think we all had those times where certain things, like, I used to love the energy of a big city. I grew up in Toronto. I used to love, as a kid, going downtown Toronto, and we'd ride the subway and we'd be in the big city, because we kind of lived out in the country. And then when I traveled, I lived in Hong Kong. I lived in Thailand, like these big, crazy cities. And I love the energy and I love the vibe. And now I think through what I've been through and whatever, I would rather be up on my mountain property away from everybody. just just enjoying nature and enjoying, the mountains and scenery and views and quiet. Because I think so often we get so caught up in dress to impress and doing all the stuff and getting ahead and getting bigger. And I think so often, what for me at least, I lost myself. I lost who I was. And I love, like, growing up, I competed in snowboarding. I did these things, and there are some of my greatest memories are with some of the dudes, and we were hiking peaks in the mountains and just literally our board under our arm, and we're huffing and puffing, high altitude. And it's those conversations, right? We lost friends in avalanches. We had crazy experiences, but it's that time where you have no one to impress, and you have these deep conversations. And I think that's what I crave in my soul now, is a real connection, is a real authenticity of, if you were to lose everything, who are you? And I think spending that time in nature and with my kids, I want my kids to experience similar things that I did in my childhood, of exploring, of seeing, gods or whatever, creation, and having those moments around a campfire where you're just having a real conversation, where you're not there on a podcast and trying to, how many views do I have, and how many did I sell tonight, and how many did I do this and that, but what connection did I make with somebody? And I'm going to try not to get emotional, but Ryan kind of kicked it off. So in this process, and I think it's really hard because it's a lot of who I am, and it's a lot of kind of where I am now is since COVID, right? Life got crazy with COVID, but literally since COVID, I've lost 19 male friends, like guys, dudes that I know, like that I grew up with snowboarding, that like were neighbors, that were like college roommates. I've lost 19 friends to suicide. And since COVID, like in a 5-year period, I've had 19 male friends commit suicide. I've had others who were like this close, who literally I was on the phone with. I drove to their house. I did these things where literally I was like, "You're not going. This is not an option. I'm not losing another one." And and that doesn't include friends that I've lost to cancer, car accidents, avalanches. Like even in the last little bit, I had a buddy. Some people know him here, but he was mountain biking and literally slipped and hit a tree and was dead. So like I've lost. And so I think in that process, you get to like, I think losing friends to suicide, you don't get that chance to say goodbye. You don't get that. And so then you're like, what if I had called them? What if I had hung out? What if I had allowed them to tell me their deep, dark, dirty, scary stuff? Would I look at it and I say, I have a friend who just lost, he's my friend. His friend was not my friend, right? Does that make sense? He just lost a friend to suicide literally the week of Thanksgiving. And he posted and said, we were all together golfing the week before and none of us knew this is where he was. And he says, I look at it and say, I didn't create a safe place for my friend to tell me what was really going on in his life. And so I think that's where I'm at now, is I've lost so many friends that I want to have those hard conversations. I want to create an environment for my friends, or my friends on Facebook. Like every Monday on my Facebook Lives, I do Mental Health Monday, because I think people need to know that it's okay to struggle. It's okay not to be okay, but you also need to take responsibility. You need to do these things. You need to not be afraid. And if you can't tell somebody, I showed people the other day, you can use AI. AI can walk you through a whole bunch of, if you don't want to share somebody, you can say, I'm not feeling okay. How do I deal with this? Or how do I use AI? And it will literally walk you through steps. Here's what you can do. And if you're here, call this number. And so I look at it and I say, I've lost I lost one of my best friends to cancer a couple years ago. I lost a really good friend. Literally, she was diagnosed on Labor Day, Memorial Day. She was diagnosed with leukemia and was dead 3 days later, really 2 days. And so it's one of those where the last time I had an interaction with her was that weekend, and then she was dead. And her husband is a good friend. And so I think I've got to a point of, I'm done losing friends and not being able to say, I love you and how much you mean to me. And, you know, if you're not in a good spot, let me know. And so I think that's another thing that shifted my where I am, you know, is yes, we can have these fake relationships, but it's also I'm as real as it comes. Like Ryan's been with me. I am who I am here and at my home and in public because I've learned that I want people to know I am who I am. And if you feel like you can trust me, you can trust me. And if you need a place to crash, like I have so many people who have my garage code because I'm like, if I'm home, if I'm not home, here's my if you need a place to crash, if you need a place that is just not your house, here's my garage code. Morning, night, I don't care if I'm home or not. Here's my garage code. You come to my house. And I think that's who I am is I've lost those friends and I've seen friends literally go bankrupt and face suicide because they don't know how they can recover because they created this image and they have to live up to this image. And so I look at it and I just say, like, you know, we went kind of down a deep, dark rabbit hole right here, but it's one of those where the more you have a real connection with people or a community or whatever, or yourself, I think you're then able to have that real authentic friendship of here's my deep, dark, scary, accept me, don't accept me, but I'm here to help you. And we're all in this together. You know what I mean? Whether it's business success, whether it's personal success, whether it's marriage and divorce, I think you have to have that reality of it's a mess. Like you were saying earlier, like we've all been through a mess, and that's what we created this thing. Because you then have to learn, like what you were saying, to your point, I'll feed into your whole process, right? You have to learn how to recover. You
Yeah.
lose your marriage, you lose a child, you lose a friend, you lose a business, you lose your house, you lose something. How do you then recover and say, that's okay, I'm still me, I still have me? How do I then recover, rebuild, move on, let go? Even like letting go of so much brings so much peace. Anyway, there you go.
I love it.
I've been
I love it.
rambling
That's
on.
why I like Taylor though, because he can
Yeah.
he can hop on a live and he can just and every bit of it, like even though he's messing around on Facebook Live sometimes, there's all of these nuggets and lessons built into his live every single time that he's on. It's amazing, and he'll pull from somebody else's, you know, like on the comments, and be able to then talk about stuff that's relevant, that's gone on in his world, and then be able to then turn around and make the connection on the other side of the screen to some of these people that he's never met in person. And Taylor and I have had the opportunity to meet, I think, twice. And one was through a mutual friend. I showed up to the $100 dinner club.
$100 dinner club.
Yep, with Jimmy Rex, and got to meet Taylor in real life, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, dude, I told him then, I said, you are one of my heroes in life. Gave him a book or two, and told him I was appreciative of what he did for me. And then the other one was just a what was that, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was like we've always known each other. It was like I don't even know how to describe being around Taylor. It was just like being in front of the screen when he's talking to an audience of 50, 100, 150, or, you know, probably the exact same as he is when he's standing up on stage getting recognized for going Black Diamond. That's going to come up here soon, right, Taylor?
Yeah.
And stand in front of thousands and thousands of people. He's the same person. And so that part of authenticity, of real, true human being, is who he is all of the time.
I do have questions around that, you know, because it's like there's an evolution of, you know, were you always that way, or did the creation of the success allow you the space to have time to reflect on what really matters in life? Does that make sense? Or were you always from the beginning that way, and that's what led to the success in your life as measured by society, right? So, you know, people get on here and they're like, well, Taylor gets time to do that because he's doing so well in his business. Whereas other people are like, we're in the grind and we're like, man, I don't have time to even think about that. I'll share a quick story. There was a lady that was in North Korea. She was in the concentration camps and got set free, came to America. And she said that having time to be with my thoughts is the hardest thing I've ever done. Right.
We all, huh.
And so like when you get to that space of, we're in the grind and we build our business, and then we have, a successful business, and then you've got time to think, well, what are you going to think about? What really matters? Right. Can you kind of just walk us through that? Have you always been that way, or is this something that evolved as you created your success?
In some ways, I think I've always been that way. And I think some of it is just how I was raised. My grandfather, my mom's dad, is from Canada. He's Canadian, died a Canadian. But he helped so many people. Like even now, of the older generation who knew my grandpa, they would say, do you realize he helped so many families get into homes? And there were times that he just did. But my grandfather, a lot of times, wasn't a man of many words. You knew you were screwed if he would say, yeah, right. Like if you were talking to him and telling him a story and he would say, yeah, right. You were like, oh, suck. Grandpa doesn't believe me. Like, I'm done, but he was a man. He wasn't like me. He didn't have to ramble on and do all that stuff, but he would listen to you and he would give you anything. He would help you get a house. He would help you do what he would, I grew up in a family where, if someone was moving or someone had something going on or needed hay moved or whatever, because we lived out in the country, you showed up and you worked. And you were there until it was done. And my grandpa, if he gave his word, he was there. But in the meantime, my grandpa would talk to us about birds. I mean, because we lived out on, I don't know, 50, 75 acres. And he would talk to us about birds and God's creation. And so I think since my childhood, I had these real authentic relationships. And I saw how these friendships were created. But I think I think growing up, you have that fake. Like I've met celebrities.
Yeah.
My uncle was in California and was like the head of Hollywood Park and the Staples Center and all that stuff. So we had the tickets and the premieres, and you would go and see Hollywood. I worked in the fashion industry. Do you guys know that? I had like fashion degree, as far as design and all that stuff. And so it's one of those where you go to LA Fashion Week and you do this stuff and you see these models and these celebrities. But to me, it was so fake because you know that Taylor Swift, she wakes up in the morning and she's like, trying to find her coffee and trying to talk to her dog. And she's like looking fugly. And she has those conversations with her mom.
Sorry, Swifties.
Right. No, but you know what I mean? Like she's still a real person. She's not always
not fugly on the inside.
But you have those. And that's the person I want to know. I don't want to know the person who's on stage. I want to know the person who's like, you know what? I just want to like go for a walk to the park, And so I think I've always had that. And here's an interesting thing. When I lived in LA, I was going to school in LA. I worked at the country club in the tennis place. And it's interesting because there's a guy who was the president of Toyota USA. And he lived there and he was at the country club. And there was a guy who was a trust fund kid who worked at the country club. He was a tennis instructor, but he was a trust fund. I'm not going to tell you, he's a Wrigley, right? So he's part of the Wrigley family, like Wrigley's
I can tell you who it is.
I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's funny. He had something like $100 million trust fund. The dude drove Ferraris. The dude had this amazing house. And this guy, his daughter really liked, his name was Tad. His daughter really liked Tad. And so we were at the country club and doing all this stuff. And the guy says to me, and so I'm literally on a daily basis talking to the president of Toyota USA, right, and having conversations with him, which I'm sure people would pay to have these conversations with him. But I just, and he would tell me about life and stuff and business. And he was one who was a major mentor because he said, don't get so caught up in climbing the corporate ladder that you lose your family. He said, I put my kids in boarding schools. I put my kids in this and that. And he said, I see my kids in the summer for a little bit. And he says, because I felt like that's what they needed to get ahead in life. And he said, now that my kids are adults, they don't want anything to do with me because they've had these friends and these things. And I didn't build that bond and that relationship with them. And he goes, if I had to do it all over again, I would take a step down in the corporate rung to have a relationship with my kids because he goes, to me, that's everything. And so then it was interesting because his daughter was dating Tad and he couldn't stand Tad. And I said, but dude, he's got money. He goes, I would rather have my daughter date you than Tad. And I said, why? And he goes, because you have work ethic, you have values, you have this and that. And he goes, and you don't have everything given to you. He goes, I would rather have my grandkids grow up in a home like yours than a home where they, like, he goes, Tad comes and works for 2 hours and plays tennis, and then he goes to the beach and then goes home and has cleaning ladies and all this stuff because he doesn't need anything. He doesn't need to work for anything. And he says, I don't want my grandkids to grow up in that sort of a home. And so it's very interesting that this man who's worth, I don't know, a lot of money, flat out said, I'd rather have my daughter date you and maybe not have everything because you're going to teach them. And so it's very interesting. I think I've been humbled a lot to know and be friends with some very, very crazy, like I know billionaires, like literally I have their phone numbers. I could call them, have a real conversation, but it's like my brother-in-law is the VP of Microsoft. You know what I mean? Like you're talking, the VP of Microsoft is my brother-in-law. I can have these conversations with people, but again, it's, I have a real relationship. And so I think in that process, I've seen these people who are wildly successful, but I also know them as a person. I know them as a person. And I think that's where I've been blessed is I've seen the fake.
Yeah.
I've experienced the fake, but I know the real with real successful people and real people who have started, like Ryan came with me, Sean Whalen, we went to his birthday party. This is a guy who's made millions and hundreds of millions and lost everything. He's been married, he's been divorced, he's had success, he's had struggles and trials. And I think I know him as a person, and I'm not enamored by the fact that he's successful. I'm enamored by the fact that he is who I know him as, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, there's that rabbit hole again.
And I
Okay,
think that too, like sorry, Nick, real quick, that from my evolution of watching Taylor Kirby, right? Because that's who I know. His successes, and I watched him grow, his business. His successes as he grew his business allowed him to be more of who he is, because it gives you now, yeah, I mean, like you have more success, more money, more time, more freedom, more ability. And so then he can use those things to then go and his resources. Now he has a big nice house with a garage code that he can give out willy-nilly to people that need it. So where maybe before, he couldn't afford the garage code, the auto garage code. You never know. So but from my evolution of watching Taylor Kirby is that it's made that ability of who he is really deep inside just shine brighter, and able to have more resources to be able to do more for people, not just, okay, now I'm successful, so I can do what I can do what I want, and I can, I can pretend or put on a facade. Taylor Kirby is exactly who he is.
Okay, wait, I
outside.
want to like squash something. I might be successful, but listen, I still grind. I'm still in the grind. I'm not sitting at the country club being like, I have 500,000 people below me. Yeah, bonbons, ladies. I was live until 3
I mean,
a.m.
he
last
might
night.
say it
bling
just
and
like
bling,
that, though.
bling and bling. I was live till 3 a.m. Would I love to have been asleep? Yes, I would have loved. Like I sent you a message last night, like, oh hell, I'm just going to bed. It's 4 a.m. I'm gonna set 25 alarms. If you don't hear from me, call me, right?
Yeah.
Because so I still grind. And I someone commented, nobody cares work harder. Nobody cares work harder. I have these shirts from Cam Hines. Nobody cares work harder. Because here's the other thing that I've learned. In success, I've become a target. So I have a massive group of haters. I've had I've probably had 3,000 videos done against me where people have taken my lives and then done. I have a video game. Do you guys know this? I have a video game. I'm a part of a video game where literally they can shoot me. They can do stuff to me. Like this weirdo Badirdo hater created this video game or this character in this game that you can literally like attack me and do things.
That's
I've
wild.
been in lawsuits. I've had probably 9 lawsuits that I've had to deal with. So yes, although I have this success, it's also one of those where every day I've learned nobody cares. You don't really care about whether or not I have food in my house. You really don't. because you're worried about your life and your thing. Yes, you know, is there that concern of, oh my gosh, Taylor, oh, I'll say a prayer for you. But you're not like, oh crap, I got to go work a second job in order for him to eat. You're not,
Yeah.
because we don't do that. And so I wear these shirts that nobody cares, work harder. And I look at it and I say, no one really cares about my dreams. No one really cares about my goals. I do. And so it's up to me to, again, find that motivation on the days where I literally want to sit in bed, because I have ups and downs and highs and lows. And I struggle with, you know, mental, emotional drama. And I want to lay in bed. And when I don't have my kids, I have these ups and downs and these highs and lows. When my house is quiet, that's where I get into my own thoughts, right? Because I work from home.
Yep.
And but so again, I still have to grind, because I work in an industry where people can leave and it drastically affects my business. And so I want to also create an environment in which people want to stay, even when they have their own ups and downs and highs and lows. Because in this industry, you have lots of shiny objects and new companies and new promises and lies and lies and lies that people are like, oh, I want to go join that. And so my thing is, I still work every single day. Although, yes, do I have financial ease? Yes, but I also pay my ex-wife a lot of money. But so it's one of those things where I look at it and I say, am I in a different position than I was right when I got divorced? Yes. But have I grinded and grinded, and do I still grind? Yes. So I hit a new rank and hit all this stuff. But it's because of my literally showing up and working till 3 a.m. And when I wanted to sit and cry, or when I just want to go to bed, or when I just want the world to say, you know, I show up because I have to. Because I have goals and I have dreams, and nobody cares except me. It's not going to happen unless I show up and do it. And so that's why I say to my team all the time, and my people and my viewers, is if you want to have a change in your life, if you want to have a change of your environment, one, I've learned this. I'm not afraid to cut people out, because I've learned that not everybody in the room is a fan, and not everybody in the room has your best interest. And so I've learned that I don't need the massive audience. I need a smaller circle of true people who are going to say, you go get it. You can do it. I believe in you 100%. And they're not going to talk behind my back, and they're not going to try to sabotage me while I'm doing something and being like, oh, did you know this? And oh, did you know he's really like this? And oh, I have this picture of him picking his nose. And oh, I have this. Like, I've learned that not everybody has your best interests in mind. And I've learned that through the haters, again, you still got to show up. Like I had this person named Harold that literally for 3 years would pop on my lives and would somehow has some technology where if someone was on my live, he could get their phone number and would call them and would say,
I told him to call me. He called me.
Yeah.
We talked.
Would say horrible things. I mean, we're talking like graphic.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to get the FBI involved, because he would say like inappropriate things about people's minor children. And then people would say, I don't want to shop with you because every time I pop on your live, I get harassed. I had neighbors called at 2 o'clock in the morning saying I was doing it crazy. So like I have dealt with a massive amount of hate because I hit this new rank. You know, like you have new levels, you have new devils. And so I think in that same process, you might think, oh, you hit this thing. Right. I've hit this new level. And so now I have a crazy amount of haters, right? I did a post around the election time that I just love where I live, because I've lived in big cities. I've lived in all that stuff. And I said, I just love that regardless of what happens tomorrow, I know I'm safe. And it became this whole racial thing of I'm throwing the Black community under this thing. And I was like, I literally said, like, I've lived in big cities. I grew up in big cities. I've lived in big cities. But because I said, I'm thankful that I have the ability to choose where I live, and I choose to remove myself from the big city and live in a small town, that now I'm a racist. And so literally I had this whole thing explode, and I got all this hate mail, and I got all this stuff. And it's like literally just because I said, I'm thankful that I live in a place where I know I'm safe. A community in which I choose to rate, oh, white privilege, and oh, this toxic masculinity. And it was like, are you joking me? So although I have a little bit of ease financially, it's still one of those where every day I'm grinding, because I have goals, and I understand that literally, especially in today's day and age, things can change that fast. You can become canceled. You can become hated. People have a shiny object over here that they're going to run from. And it's interesting to me that, you know, people will say, oh, but you've reached this like pinnacle of success, and so you've got it easy now. Oh, if anything, in my industry, the more success you have, the lonelier it becomes, and the bigger target I have on my back. And so it's like, I always have to watch what I say. I always have to watch what I post. I always have to watch who I talk to, because it's like, oh, you were on that person's live and not on my live. And it's like, oh my hell, I just was scrolling and they were on. And it's like, oh, favoritism, and oh, you like this group better than this group. And so my thing is this: I've learned that success doesn't always bring ease, and success comes with a massive amount of responsibility as far as work ethic. And always be grinding. You know what I mean? So there.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that that was brought up so that you could do that right there. because that's really what it's about, is people think that, why not have that thought? Oh, you're successful, you got it easy. Well, no, you don't. Right. What I heard though, as you're sharing though, you really hit on the 5 regrets. That's what I heard in there is you start to come back to what really matters in life. And most people that are reaching their dreams or goals, if you don't have a purpose, I've seen people die off because they don't have a purpose. They've reached their goals and dreams, and then they die off because they don't know what to do next.
It didn't bring them real satisfaction.
It didn't. So when you come back to like the 5 regrets, I'd wish, I'll just read them here. I wish I had the courage to live true to myself, right? Not the life others expect of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends, and I wish I had let myself be happier. That's what I hear, is this whole thing is you're searching for that, and you're hoping that this success will bring you that. And at the end of the day, you get that success and you find you still don't have those 5 things. Right. And if you don't start creating it now while you're doing that, the other thing I heard in there too is service. Like, you come from service. You're like, if I can help, like Zig Ziglar says, if I can help enough other people get what they want, I'll have everything I ever want. But you're not doing it to get what you want. You're doing it because you truly love to serve people. And when you come from that service, it seems like things take care of themselves because you're helping people to reach their dreams. You automatically start to reach yours. I know I throw in a lot in there, but the 5 regrets and that serving others, can you tie those into your methods, or do they even fit?
No, 100%. Because like, that's what I'm saying is even like with this thing that I always look at on my phone. Is staying in touch with your friends. Like, here's my thing. I think sometimes we get so caught up in who can I network to help me get to where I want to go, to get what I want, to then literally get what will then make me cool or make me popular or make me happy. Once I have $5 million in my bank account, I did a post on this a little bit ago. My kid said, Dad, what would you do if you had $10 million? Right. And so I had this random conversation, $10 million after taxes or $10 million before taxes, right?
Yeah, big difference.
and I said this, I said, honestly, if I had $10 million, I would delete all social media, and I would disappear, and I would build a place up on my mountain property, and I would just be the most random neighbor that enjoyed life, that I would be the dad who was coaching a soccer team. Because my thing is this: I don't need $100 million. I don't need the Porsches. I don't need the Lamborghinis. I don't need that worldly. I need enough to be a good person. And that has changed, right? And it's that part of those regrets and part of that life and that evolution. But one thing that you said is, here's an interesting thing. My work and my leadership and my position has allowed me a platform in which, here's the interesting thing. So yes, I have 587,000 people on my team. And here's one thing I want to correct that you said. It's not global. Our business is only in the US. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So I have 587,000 people on my team only in the US, not even Canada, not Mexico, literally only in the US.
Get ready, Canada and Mexico.
I know, right? Canada, the size of California as far as population. So here's the interesting thing in that I have watched, and this is an interesting leadership lesson that I've also learned, right? So I can say I have 587,000 people on my team. Well, guess what? I wouldn't have those if some amazing people didn't join my team. Their yeses created other people's yeses, and their leadership and their vibe attracted their tribe. which then built my team, right?
Mm.
And so I look at it and I say, if I look at I can't say, oh, like this is my team of 587,000. No, I've been blessed to have attracted some amazing people who have been inspired and had the ability to dream, had the ability to learn and make mistakes, but to recover and grow and build and use those as stepping stones. Because the interesting thing in our company is we don't have a lot of like industry professionals. They literally were school teachers. They were stay-at-home moms. They were high school dropouts that got pregnant. Like one of our top earners as far as sales, right? She sells multiple $1 million a year. She was a teen mom, never graduated high school, never went to college, but she found this and was like, you know what? I think I could do this. And so here's the thing that I love about my company and my platform and my ability is the fact that I have seen people who literally in life were told that they were worthless. You know, like you are a teen mom, you don't have your GED, you don't have this and that. Like, what do you expect you're going to be out of life? And now she is a 7-figure seller and she has changed her family's life. But the biggest thing that I love about it is she has changed her life. She's changed her belief. She's changed other people's because she said, I went from this to this. I went from this because I literally just showed up because I said, I'm going to go an hour longer every day. I'm going to go every day. I'm going to go twice a day. I'm going to go this. And that's the thing that I love is in this platform, I get to invite people to say, I want you to believe in yourself. And what's your dream and what's your goal? You live in a trailer park, you live on welfare, you want to get off welfare, right? So my thing is this, in my success, I've been able to open my mouth and say to other people, like Brian said, you have this homeless man who's slinging women's jewelry late at night. You know, if I can do it, good hell, you can do it too, friends. You know what I mean? Like if this man who is ugly and has bags underneath his eyes and looks homeless can sling bling and make a 6-figure income, you who I don't know have better looks than I do. Like if there's a bearded woman out there, she can still crush it. And so here's my thing is I think in that process, those 5 regrets and all that stuff, the greatest thing that I've learned is that in that process, me speaking, I have been able to say, here's these 5 regrets that I've learned. I want to inspire other people to create their own vision, to stay in touch with their friends, to create a tribe that inspires them to go for what they want. You know, the time with their family, the time with their kids, and not build someone else's dream. Like, here's the thing. As a 9-to-5 employee, you were hired because someone else had a dream. And what I do, Kirby's the American team move. That's right. Yeah. You want it, I got it. And if you don't want it, I still have it. And I got lots of it. But here's my thing is I have the ability to show somebody what's possible. And in mind, and I say to people all the time, hey, if you want a G-Wagon, go get a G-Wagon. That's not what I want. I have a 2006 F350. The thing's a beast, and it is my dream vehicle, right? I don't need the newest, I don't need the Lambo to say I've arrived because I've learned I'm happy with, but hey, if you want it, let's get you there. Like I will help you get, like I have a friend, Carla, she has the Lamborghini, whatever it is, the SUV. She loves it. Good. I'm so glad you have that. I'm so happy that you have that. I'm not jealous of you, but that was on your vision board because you want to have that. If you want the Gucci, the Pradas, the whatever, I'll help you get there. But my thing is, I hope you know that won't bring happiness. And I would rather have you find happiness along the way and believe in yourself. Because I have what I call the 5 core beliefs, right? 5 core beliefs that will make it so that no one and nothing will stop you from success. You have to believe in yourself, which is the hardest one. It's the scariest one because you have to face all the demons of childhood, of all the negativity, of all the people, of all that internal turmoil. If you believe in yourself, like 100%, then if you believe in the company, right? Whatever it is that you do, if you believe in the RVs that you sell, if you believe in that company that legit, this is a great company, right? Like I'm not poking. I sell women's jewelry, all right, right? Like, but I believe in the company that the fact that we provide an amazing product for the price. If you believe in the product, right? So you have to believe in the company, you have to believe in the product, right? And then you have to believe in the team, or the system, and then you have to believe in your industry. So people want to attack me about network marketing. It's a scam. I work in direct sales, which is a little bit different, because I legit have a bracelet here that I buy for $275. I turn around and sell it for $5. This is me. You don't have to, like, one of my greatest friends, Monica, she sells like $4 million worth a year. 4 million sales. That's not team commissions. And she always tells people, I live off my sales. I don't live off commissions. You don't have to have a team to be successful. You buy it for $275. You turn around and sell it for $5. You make 40% commission in your sales, right? You get that extra $225 off every piece you sell. So my kids know we live on $2 at a time. Because my kids will say, let's go to Disneyland. And I say, okay, I have to sell X amount of pieces for us to do that. So how are you going to help me sell that many pieces? So anyway, that's the whole big thing along the way. But my thing is with the 5 regrets is you have to look at it and say, in helping other people, how do I help somebody actually believe in themselves? Because that is the biggest thing in true success, is if you can believe in yourself, regardless of what the world says about you. If you can believe in yourself, regardless of where you are position-wise or where you are financially, you will be unstoppable. If you believe in yourself so much to your core that if someone comes at you as a hater online, if someone comes to you in a divorce, if you lose yourself in a divorce, but you believe in yourself, you will be able to overcome those 5 regrets, and you'll have success. And it might not be massively financial, but it might be peace. And it might be like happiness, like true happiness, right? Where you don't have to worry about suicide and you don't have to worry about mental health because you believe in yourself. And you're like, I'm okay. I might lose everything in my life, friends, family members, houses, horses, property, but I'm happy because I know who I am. Dude, so that's my thing is in those 5 regrets and my platform and my success is I get to show, inspire, and hopefully help other people first believe in themselves and overcome all those negative things that they have heard in their head their entire life. You're ugly. You're never going to do it. You're not smart enough. You know, you went to prison. You were a teen mom. You know, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. If anything, that helps you understand who you are and where you want to go and what you want to change. You're alcoholic, you're a drug addict, you're whatever. Like, that's a great thing about recovery. That's a great thing about second chances. That's a great thing about you, is if you believe in yourself and nobody cares work harder. If you take that and say, I care. I care about myself. I care about my future. I care about how I feel about myself. I want to prove this for myself. Right. Because then the 5 regrets kind of settle out themselves.
They do. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway.
No, I
ramble. That's me.
No. It's so good because you know, when we're doing our 12 journeys, the biggest thing that we see is it all starts right here with you and who you think you are. And then that bleeds out into everything that you touch. And so coming back to that core self of, we spend so much time measuring ourselves against the ideals that we think we're supposed to have and the ideals we think others have for us. And then we look at ourselves in relation to that and we find ourselves wanting, and we really are not happy or peaceful right now. And so the more, like you're saying, the more you can believe in yourself, the more you can have peace right now, which is at the end of the road. That's what you're trying to buy anyway, is your freedom and peace with this vehicle that you think is going to get you there. And then you get there and you find out, oh, that didn't do it. Mm-hmm. So it really starts like getting back to peace right here, right now, regardless of what you think you should be or what you think others think you should be, right? Mm-hmm. Is just owning this 100%, because that's the story that's going to radiate out and create the world. I was watching Michael Singer the other day, and he was saying something about the moment you can let go, you know, and just really lean into who you are, then what gift you have naturally expresses from that. It's like the moment you plant a seed, that seed creates the tree, because that tree was already in there, but it needed to be planted. But it didn't have to become anything. It didn't have to pursue being a maple tree to become an apple tree. Right. Which most of us are stuck on, trying to become a maple tree when we're an apple tree. Mm-hmm. Right. I think it's hard to like let go and just trust that the gift that you are will naturally express the more you accept who you are. And that to me is that belief system. Anything you want to say around that?
Me?
Yeah.
I think, man, I could get emotional on that one,
Yeah.
because here's the interesting thing. Um, wow.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
um,
Yeah.
because I think growing up in our families, right? You have a family name, and people say, you are expected to be like this because you're Kirby, or what. My mom says it to me all the time because my brother owns the company, right? So my mom will say, just don't embarrass your brother. Just don't embarrass our family. Just don't do this and that,
Mm.
right? And I think you have all of that, but then I think you then sometimes, in that fear of that, or you're part of this religion, you better not do this. You better
Yeah.
not do that. Or you're a part of, your kids go to this school, or you're part of this company, or you're this leadership person. You better act and dress and walk and talk this way. You better not do this. You're like, I'm here to, like, I'm in a women's business, right? I'm in a women's business, like 99.999% women. But then we have a massive African American people. So then people, like, I hear it all the time, like toxic white male masculinity. So I have to be very careful what I say, right? And so I think in that same thing is, I might be an apple tree, but I feel like I'm being pigeonholed to being a maple.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that I was saying is, I used to have these backdrops. Like, I have this backdrop over here. I used to have this, like, scene over this, like, piece of fabric that was over top of this, because that's what someone else had who was successful. And someone said, you need to watch their lives and be like them, because that will generate the thing. And I think in that same process, that's where, in my marriage, and this is what I'm going to tell you, is, how do I put this? I believe in working hard, and I believe in sacrifice, and I believe in doing these hard things. But I believe in God, right? I'm very religious in my own ways. But I don't believe that God wants us to be miserable because we made a promise or a commitment, right? And so, in becoming that apple tree, I was the first person in my family to get divorced. I was the last one to get married. I had these expectations of all this stuff. I lived in a horrible marriage. But I did it because, and I stayed because I had made promises, and we don't give up, and we don't do these things, and we don't do X, Y, Z. But in that process of being an apple tree, my soul died. And I'm here to tell you, I lost who I was. I lost my zest for life. And so in that same process of, and I don't care, it's not just a religious thing, it's not just a marriage thing, it's not just it's a business thing, it's a social, like, so many people say, oh, you should do this and this will get more views, and oh, you should do this and you would get a bigger following, and you might get, you might become an influencer, and you could do this and that. And I think so often we see what other people are doing, that instead of saying, I'm going to make it, I'm going to crush it by, I don't know, showing you how I live and shop at Costco as a single dad, because, like, most of my clothes come from Costco. Instead of saying, I'm going to become the Costco dad and teach you how to win as a Costco dad, I'm saying, I need to become a fitness influencer and show you my six pack, right? That might not be my thing, but people say, well, that's where you need to be. That's where the money is. And same thing, right? In social media, we get so caught up in this is what they're doing, and this is what their
shiny
success
object,
is,
right?
and this is what the trend is, and I should do that you lose that happiness, right? And so in that, in with what you said is I've learned that being an apple tree isn't a bad thing, because guess what? It's sweet. You have fruit. Maple trees don't
People
have
like
fruit.
apples. Yeah.
But I mean, maple trees can create maple syrup, but that has to be boiled, right? Maple syrup has to be boiled in order to become sweet. But my thing is this: an apple tree, you might not be as big as a maple tree and provide as much shade, but you provide nourishment. You provide something that is sweet. You provide, all these things. And I think in owning the fact that I am who I am, right? I am who I am. Those regrets, those 5 regrets, kind of naturally sort themselves out if you can finally say, I'm going to be the best damn tree, and I'm going to prune myself so that I produce more fruit and that I produce sweeter fruit. And I'm going to make sure that I have the nutrients that I need so that my tree is filled and people want to come and get my apples, because they're like Washington apples. They're big, they're juicy, they're amazing. You know what I mean? Like I served a Mormon mission in Washington. I had never seen bigger natural apples ever in my
I'll take a
entire
bushel.
life.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Is that $2 of markup per apple? I mean, that sounds phenomenal. I'll take
right.
it. Yeah,
but that's my thing is, I think
right?
if you can say, I'm going to prune myself, which is a hard thing to do. I'm going to prune myself so that my tree is shaped how I want it to be, but it's pruned in a way in which I will create more fruit. Because that's the thing is, I think you have to then be willing to say, this is who I am and I'm going to own it, but I'm going to be the best damn single dad. I'm going to be the best damn bling slinger. Right. And people might mock me and people might make fun of me like, oh, wow, you sell $5 women's jewelry. Yeah, hell yeah, I do. And I live a damn good life. You know what I mean? And so I think you have to get to that point of owning and accepting that you are an apple tree, which sometimes even now where I have success, I have people say, if you were to join this industry, you could make even more. And then it's like, oh, should I do that? Should I not do that? Am I not living up to my potential? So in that process, I think owning that you are an apple tree, sometimes I'm thankful for the winters where my leaves fall off and I don't have growth, but the growth comes in my roots. Because if you don't know this about trees, especially maple trees and stuff, that in the winter is where the biggest amount of growth comes in the roots. And in the roots is where, again, you'll have those 5 core beliefs that make you so solid that wind and all that stuff won't happen. Because I'm thankful for the winters where I lose my fruit, I lose my leaves, and there's not the visible growth.
What a killer analogy.
There,
yeah.
Right? Because in the winter is where trees, so that's why landscapers will plant trees, and people are like, why are they planting it right now? Like they're going to die. Incorrect. Because in the ground, there's still warmth and the roots set during the winter.
Yeah. We, in our 12 journeys, we focus on the root, the shoot, and the fruit, and primarily the root, because that's where, when things get hard, that's where you go. And that's where most of the work happens. And when you come back out, you come out stronger. And man, that whole idea of believing in yourself is really cutting off anything that's not you. It's pruning it out. I mean, you just laid that out so beautifully. Thank you. Anything else you want to share, Kirby or Taylor, that Kirby, I'll call you by your last name.
Trust me, that's been my whole life.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share that you feel impressed to share with the viewer on the other side of the screen? What do they need to know from you?
Here's what this will get me emotional, right? Like, here's my thing is, regardless of your success or lack of success, I think this is my biggest thing in life that I've learned through losing friends and mental health and my own struggles and my own divorce and my own visuals, whatever, the like refocusing of myself is this. There are so many times that what's up, Mike? Look, Mike. So look, Mike's just pumped up. Mike's a buddy of mine from Canada. He sells a mental health product. He's a great dude. One of my best friends. We met at a leadership conference. Hang on, Mike's gonna throw me for a loop here. Mike and I met at a leadership conference and we start talking and we both competed snowboarding. We both are in this, like, we have these Facebook groups of like snowboard collectors, as far as like finding old vintage snowboards. And Mike has become one of my best friends and he's a good fellow Canadian, but we talk all the time. But so here's in that same process with Mike popping up right there. Mike and I think we love being dads the most. And I think we do that. So here's a funny thing is, I think the people you can influence most might not be the biggest audience. And the other thing is, I think the person you can influence most is yourself. And there's so many times that we see monetary success as our value. And what I want to say to people is, you have so much value. And I know we have those dark demons and we have that self-doubt and we have that FOMO and we have that imposter syndrome. But here's what I will leave is you have so much value and you have so much impact on people that you have no clue, right? Like I have people that send me messages all the time. And there are so many days I still doubt that, like, no one wants to come on my live. No one wants to come on that because I see the numbers in the corner. And yet I have my own self-doubts. I have those dark days. But in that same process, you have no idea who you're influencing. But here's the other thing is you have no idea who would be willing to help you. And in the end, you matter and you need to be here. And and on those dark days, you need to find the people in that circle, or those 5 regrets. You need to find those friends who on your dark days you can let that be known, and they will drive, they will sacrifice for you, and you need to be that friend, right? Because if you have those friends who literally call you and say, I think I'm going to end it, if you don't show up for them and let them know that they matter, I'm here to tell you, on your dark days, you're going to want that friend who just shows up and says, I knew you were struggling and I knew I just needed to come. Because I think in those quiet moments of ourselves, you will hear who you need to influence. You will hear who you need to reach out to, especially during these holiday months, right? This is the largest. I'm all about mental health. From now until like the middle of January is the highest suicide rate. Here's the thing. Pay attention to those who go quiet. Pay attention to those who do whatever. And if you recognize it in yourself, have the self-awareness to say, I'm not okay. And here's the biggest thing. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. Mike, I love you. But here's the thing is, you stop being afraid of being who you are, and be who you are, because who you are is why God put you here, and being who you are is what other people need. So that's my name. That's where I'll end it.
That's beautiful. I needed this today. This message. It's a reminder. It's a reminder. Just so much. We trade ourselves in for what we perceive others want from us, and we don't have to do that, no matter who we're with. And so, and it doesn't mean you have to get rid of who you're with. Just don't give up yourself while doing it.
Right.
Yeah. Ryan, other thoughts from you as we wrap up here?
Yeah, Karen, I'm grateful that you're here. That hit, Karen. I'm thankful for examples of the type of human being that we can be. That Taylor has gone through the things that he's gone through, because it shows us possibility. It's a reminder to be grateful for the winters in your life. I'm holding my chest. I'm holding myself here. I thought I got all the tears out in the beginning. Thanks a lot, Taylor. But true to your word, you didn't suck at all. And there's people that could say, "Hey, you've sucked, and you fail, and you're this, or you're haters." But those things build you. The failures. I've told this story before, but when my kids had failed on building, creating some Play-Doh, and he said, "Dad, I failed," and I said, "Well, am I a failure?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, buddy, I've failed at more things than I've succeeded at, and but I've learned, I've grown." I've gone through the winters of my life, and I'm sure there's other winters still to come. Uh, it's amazing and inspiring watching somebody like Taylor Kirby that hops on lives. Sometimes there's lives where he doesn't want to hit the button. He doesn't want to get out of bed. He's feeling it that day. He does it anyway. And on the other side of that screen is a guy named Ryan Morris, who by God's grace, catches his live, who is feeling as small as ever, and got a glimpse of possibility, and that, hey, if this guy can do it, so can I. I'm like shaking as it was the man that Taylor Kirby is to me. Showed me what was possible in my own world. Um, and when I started to believe in myself, when I started to believe in myself, uh, I was able to do that work, to dive into the roots, um, to then also be able to do it for others, to be that type of a person, uh, and to fully start to recognize my purpose and why I'm unique and special and different. The world needs you. Taylor is 100% right. Check on others. Do your work. When you're not okay, it's okay. We all go through these things, but check on each other. Reach out. Um, and as you do that, you'll be inspired. Uh, you'll grow. You'll help other people grow. You'll get the things that you want as you help other people too. That's what this life is about. We're all in it together. And Taylor, I want to just tell you uh, as a friend how much I appreciate and love you, brother. Yeah. And it feels like that we've hung out, like we've been talking about doing this podcast
For
for
like
years.
years.
We've been talking about getting together for years. We've been talking about it, and we're both hustling, grinding, and I don't hold that against either of us. But I hope it's the first of many times that we can get together and continue. And even if it is 2 or 3, 4 years down the line, and know the impact that we're having along the way. And when we get back together, that it'll be it's always amazing. It was amazing meeting you the first time. It was amazing meeting you again the other night and hanging out with you and getting to see uh, Taylor Kirby in real life, the man, the myth, and the legend.
Right.
And appreciate you being here and having this impact on all of us today, brother. Keep it up. You're doing amazing.
Hey, so can I hijack this for a second? And I will get emotional on this one. You kind of got me emotional, but Karen got me emotional. I didn't know she was on here. So Karen to the G is what I call her. We were in Vegas for our company's convention, right? And I wouldn't know her except for what we do and how I met her, right? And we become really good friends. Well, we at convention have concerts and stuff that we go to, and we were at this concert. She had a friend that came out with her because she hit a rank and she was going to walk the stage, and she had this friend that came out with her. Anyway, we went to dinner, and her friend said, "I don't feel super great. I'm going to go back to the room." So we were going for dessert afterwards, and we were going to check on her, do all this stuff. When the concert and dessert was over, she went back to her room. Her friend was gone in the room, dead on arrival. Right? Karen walks into her room, dead on arrival, friend. She freaks out. She calls my friend Melissa, who was also on here. Melissa's a nurse. She calls Melissa and says, "Get here now." So then Melissa and a friend of ours, Amy, is like, "Taylor, you need to come up here." And I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "Her friend is dead." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "She's dead." And Melissa's doing chest compressions. We called hotel security. The paramedics are coming and all this stuff. And I was like, "What? Like, are you kidding me? This isn't funny." And they're like, "No." And so she shows Melissa doing chest compressions, and I lost it. And so long story short, I go up to the room. The police are there, paramedics are there, Melissa's there, Karen's a hot mess, I'm a hot mess, all of us are a hot mess. We have this dead body. But here's an interesting fact, right? Is the fact that in Vegas and other places, if someone dies, you have to stay there till the coroner comes. So we're all in this hotel room for 4 hours in Las Vegas with this dead body right here. And I literally, we had to try to call contacts and find her family because we aren't next of kin and all that stuff, right? To do all this stuff. And here's where I'm going to get emotional, because this was the biggest life lesson for me. This was the biggest like turning point life lesson for me was this. In this process, this woman who impacted Karen's life and impacted other people's lives. We're sitting in a hotel room and she is gone, right? She's gone. Legit. I was you can ask Karen, you can ask Melissa. I was kind of losing my mind with this person that we had to sit with security. We had to sit with this person until the coroner could come. And I'm literally like, we have a dead body right here. Like, can we do something? And they're like, no, you can't. I was like, oh my gosh. But in the process, we had to call sheriffs in order to find a niece. And in that process, we find out that she and her niece don't have this great thing. Long story short is this. I'm sitting with this person who has influenced my friend tremendously and is there as a support for my friend. But in this process, you find out that she doesn't have a great relationship with her family and all this stuff. And they're the ones who legally get to make decisions. And the family literally wants to throw her in the dumpster and get rid of all of her crap and be done. And so I'm literally watching this thing unfold and see that in the end, who do we inspire, right? Because in the end, when we're dead and gone, how will we be remembered? Who will show up for us and how will it matter? And I had this emotional moment of of sitting there and struggling to find somebody to care about this person. And it was literally like, throw all their crap away, call their landlord, be done. We don't really care. And I said to Melissa, and I got really emotional about this because this person mattered. And I watched that fast go to literally their apartment was going to be cleaned out and everything thrown away. And they disappeared and they were gone. And I thought, oh my gosh, where's my impact and who do I impact? You know, and in the end, if I were to pass away in a hotel in Las Vegas, would anyone care? Would the people I with had to struggle to find somebody who cared enough to have my body sent home or to do these things? You know, would nobody care about me? And it was a massive wake-up call for me of how do I impact others? And what is my role in helping others feel good about themselves? And what impact do I have on other people? And it was, and it's super emotional for me because I look at it and I say, that moment there in that hotel room in Las Vegas for 5 hours until 4 o'clock in the morning, I had a glimpse into what we do matters, right? I legit saw this woman literally become nothing that fast because it was like, throw it all away, disappear, gone, cremate her, get rid of it, do whatever. I don't want anything to do with it, you know? And I thought this person went from, we saw her that afternoon to literally gone. And so with that, I look at it and I say, what impact do we have on other people positively? And when we are gone, how will we be remembered? And so for me, it was a massive wake-up call for my children, how I interact with my children, how I interact with family members, how I interact with other people, in the fact that it can change this fast. And in the end, what is our legacy? What is our legacy, right? And so so Karen kind of got me off. Ryan got me a little bit off. But that was a massive moment personally for me, just this July in Las Vegas. I was with somebody who was the best friend of my friend, and she was there to support her because she was her champion. And then literally in an instant, she vanished, other than to Karen, right? And it was a huge moment for me of self-realization of what impact do we have, and when we're gone, how does that carry out to other people? So you guys just got me off on that one, but that's my thing is Karen kind of got me off. So Karen has she just lost her mom. Karen lost her friend, and it's been a hard go, but it's one of those where you have those friends who then help you to carry on and say, you know what, don't go, because we still need you and you still have a lot of work to do, and your story will inspire other people. And so Karen's a great friend, and Karen's and so I think in life, I might have more success than Karen does as far as in the company, but that doesn't mean she doesn't impact more people than I do. That doesn't mean her story's not as important, if not more important than my story. That doesn't mean that her influence isn't just as powerful as mine. And I'm thankful that Karen is a friend. I'm thankful for the friends that were there that night, and for those moments that you have of life-changing instances, right? And it's hard to explain, but literally when you're sitting in a room with someone who just passed and you're literally having to call people and they don't want anything to do with it, it impacts me. It impacted me more than I can even explain. And I look at it, those 5 regrets, right? Those 5 regrets, because I literally watched those 5 regrets before my eyes. And it was a moment that I got to do that self-inventory of what's important in my life, right? Anyway, that's a great note to end it on, right?
No, it is. It's a reminder. I mean, what your impact, if you're living for everybody else, you really can't show up in your unique way. And I think that's the overarching message of this show is show up fully you now, right? Be that happiness now. You don't know the impact you're going to make, even if it's one person that you impact, that's a ripple. You don't know what that person's going to do, and that person, right? So that's not up to you. Where the ripple goes isn't up to you. And so I appreciate you, Taylor, for taking time to just share some of your philosophies for life with us and just getting to know you even more. For those that are watching, thank you for your comments. Like these make it, seeing your comments come up actually help the energy of the show. And it wouldn't be what it is without you. We're so grateful for you. We always say you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're right on time. You are the X, which is infinite possibility. It's the unknown equation. Like you are that. You're where you're going. You're everything. And so remember that the X is you on the map. It's where you're going. It's who you are. And really lean into that because that's where your power is. And so as we wrap up this show, we want to thank you for being here with us. Taylor, thank you for sharing so openly with us where you're at. Go follow us on YouTube. Come see us in the Tribe of Giants on Facebook. Reach out if you haven't read The Giants and the Smalls or The Tortoise's Hair. Then come back and grab those books and open up even more of who you are. And so thank you for being with us today. We love you. Go make it a giant day.
Love you too.